You're listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
It's Oh Behave with Arden Moore, the show that teaches you how to have harmony in the household with your pets. Join Arden as she travels coast to coast to help millions better understand why cats and dogs do what they do. Get the latest scoop on famous faces, their perfectly pampered pets, and who's walking who in Rin Tin Tinseltown. From famous pet experts and best-selling authors to television and movie stars, you'll get the latest buzz from wagging tongues and tails. Garner great pet tips and have a doggone fur-flying fun time. So get ready for the pause and applause as we unleash your Oh Behave host, America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore.
Welcome to the Oh Behave Show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. Now, do you want the scoop? I'm talking the real scoop on how to be the most pawsome pet parent on the planet. You're in luck. Today, our special guest is arguably the best-known pet journalist in the country. Think of her as kind of your pet's wellness watchdog. And her advice is always spot on for Spot and all the other pets on the planet. I want all of you to please give pause and applause to the one and only Julia Szabo. Hey, welcome to the show, Julia.
Thank you, Arden, for having me.
Well, your mother had you, but I'm glad you're my guest.
For having me on the show.
Okay. You know, the show is called Oh Behave, so you just prepare yourself, Julia.
I'm ready. All
right.
Leg is lifting.
Julia will unleash some savvy advice on how to keep your dog at his healthiest best, as well as explain different dog parenting styles. And what the heck are we going to do about those fleas and ticks this summer? Julia has a solution. So you're in for a real treat. Treat. Did someone say treat? Just hang on. Just sit and stay. We're going to be right back after this commercial break.
Time for a pause. 4 furry ones, actually. Sit and stay. Oh Behave will be right back.
Pet Life Radio, the #1 pet radio network on the planet, joins forces with iHeartRadio to put the power of your pets in your pocket. Awesome! Download the iHeartRadio app and rock Pet Life Radio on your phone, on your tablet, on your Xbox, in your car. Pet talk, pet tunes, and fun pet times. Pet Life Radio and iHeartRadio. Positively Possum.
Let's talk pets on PetLifeRadio.com. Oh Behave is back with more tail-wagging ways to achieve harmony in the household with your pets. Now, back to your fetching host, America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore.
Welcome back to the Oh Behave Show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. Our special guest today is pet parenting expert Julia Szabo. Her great insights into sharing your life with pets can be found in her daily Living with Dogs column on Dogster.com. She's been on shows like the Martha Stewart Radio Morning Living Show on Sirius. And I think, folks, she's got some pretty strong typing fingers because she has authored several books, including Medicine Dog, Pretty Pet Friendly, The Underdog, and sitting on my bookshelf, Animal House Style. I'm so glad you could be here with us, Julia. You ready to have some fun?
Thank you. Of course I am. It's an honor to be here, Arden. Thanks.
We have never met, have we?
No, we haven't. I'm so excited about this. This is a real meeting of kindred spirits.
That's right. You're hanging out on the East Coast. I've got the left coast, and here we go. Today, we're talking a little bit the summers here, and it doesn't matter whether it's July or August. This is a year-round commitment. So I wanted to ask people if you could help a little bit explain this whole basic pet parenting styles. Let's get us 2-leggers in the right mindset for our 3- and 4-leggers.
Well, you know, and I know that you know this, but there's basically 2 pet parenting styles, and we've all met one or both of these people. The first is the spoiler. And this is a person who will stop at nothing to pamper their dog. So we're looking at homemade dog food, home-baked dog biscuits, probably sharing the recipes, you know, on Instagram and Pinterest, right? We're looking at filtered water or bottled water in the dog water bowl and, you know, dozens, if not hundreds of dog toys. Then, on the other end of the spectrum, we're looking at the minimalist. And the minimalist loves her or his dog just as much, but really believes that store-bought food is just fine, whether it's kibble or in a can. Water from the tap is just fine for the dog bowl. And you know what? 2 or 3 dog toys, as long as they're great and well made, that's just fine too. So regardless, though, of what type of pet parent you are, I think we can all agree that it's all about saving time and looking for ways to, simplify life without ever cutting corners, because dog health is so important.
And let's talk about the brood at your place. I was trying to find out all your current cool canines and felines, and I don't know if I have the current lineup. So would you do a quick rundown of who shares your abode?
I absolutely will. So currently I have Desiree, who's a German Shepherd. She's actually on the cover of the book you mentioned, Medicine Dog. Right. And I have a little pit bull mix named Cupcake. I did not name her.
Oh, sir. Yeah, no one's here to defend themselves except you, my little Cupcake.
But the name really suits her. She's the sweetest thing. She's actually black with like a little white squiggle on her head, just like a Hostess Cupcake. So that must be why. And I have adorable Magnus, who is a giant pit mix. He's blue.
What is the name? Magnet?
Magnus, Magnus, like Latin for big. And then, Magnus Magnuson for the long way. And I have a beautiful Chow Chow mix named Aldo, after General Aldo in Planet of the Apes, the original.
Okay. Any kitties?
I adopted my 2 remaining kitties to my parents, who are giving them a beautiful home. So our apartment was too small for dogs and cats. This was a recent development within the last 2 weeks. So,
okay.
But I see them all the time.
So you've got Cupcake, Desiree, Magnus, and Aldo.
That's right.
That's my crew. And I have Chipper, Cleo, Murphy, and Ziggy. We are family. I got all my critters with me. That's my only rap song. I have 2 dogs, 2 cats. The 2 dogs surf. 1 cat teaches pet first aid. Well, the other one does too. So they all have to earn their kibble.
I love it.
Are you living in the city with your 4 pets?
I absolutely am.
That's an important thing, because what I always thought was cool when I go to New York is that the New Yorkers may live in, quote, apartments, but these dogs living in apartments are very socialized. And they're out and about. So, you've got 4, you don't have any itty-bitty doggies in your home. So is there some insights that you can share with our listeners that, yes, you can have a big dog in an apartment?
Well, absolutely you can, because it's all about the outdoor time. So obviously, Spot is not going to get the exercise indoors. He or she is going to get out. There's any number of wonderful dog parks all over New York, which is an amazing thing. It's such a dog-friendly city, as you know. And I am so blessed because I literally, in the last 2 weeks, moved into a new apartment. And although the inside part is tiny, we have an enormous backyard that's private to us. So that is really the dog's domain. And all 5 of us have never been happier. So.
Oh, congratulations.
Well, thank you. Now, the only thing about that is that obviously I'm basically living outdoors, and so things like fleas and ticks and mosquitoes become top of mind kind of concerns.
Well, that's a good segue, because, there's been some issues with the current offerings for flea and tick preventatives. You think about the fleas and ticks, they've been around since dirt, literally, and each generation has mastered the ability of survival. And I know that we're looking for new answers. So there's some new things out on the horizon. Can you tell us a little bit about some things our listeners would like to pay attention to so that their dogs don't have to scratch and itch? And, ticks are pretty darn serious no matter what state you live in.
Well, I have to say I'm so delighted to be working with Merck Animal Health to raise awareness of summer safety. And this is really the most important safety point, as you indicate, is the flea tick thing. And so there is a wonderful new product that's really a breakthrough. It's called Bravecto, so it's Bravecto, and it's the very first long-lasting chewable flea tick treatment, and it lasts for 12 weeks, which is really unheard of. It gives 12 weeks of protection and then 8 weeks of protection against that really wicked Lone Star tick. So you're looking at 2 and 3 times the durability of protection of any other product out there on the market. So Bravecto is really, as you know, I'm a huge dog rescuer. And for those of us in dog rescue, something like this is what I call a dog send, because it means that, right? It means that you don't have to sequester any dogs. And if, God forbid, you get a poor little critter who was neglected very badly and is just being eaten alive by fleas and ticks, well, guess what? Right after that, you give the Bravecto, 12 hours later, it kills all the fleas and ticks right off the dog. I mean, it's truly a breakthrough. So you don't even have to separate the dogs when you rescue them. So for us hardcore dog lovers, right, this is some scoop.
Well, yeah, and dogs like treats. So to me, Bravecto is something easy for people that aren't quite sure how to put it between the shoulder blades, the old conventional methods and all. I think this sounds like it's quite an answer. Now, I understand, though, you do need to get it through your veterinarian. Is that correct?
Yes, it's controlled, so it's by prescription only. But, it's a great excuse to go see the veterinarian because as my book, Medicine Dog, basically sings the praises of vets as being on the leading edge of medical innovation. I mean, really, veterinarians are ahead of so-called human doctors, MDs. So any excuse to see your vet will result in improved health, not only for your dog and cat, but you too.
I'm going to check out Bravecto. I have a great veterinarian here in where I live, and I'm not real happy with the current options available, the conventional ones. My dogs, fortunately, do not have fleas or ticks, but like you, Julia, I'm out and about with Chipper and Cleo. We hike, we surf, we're out and about, and we travel a lot when we give talks, and I want to keep them safe. I'm going to definitely look into this. I do appreciate you letting our listeners know about this, too. Let's talk about your latest book, because that taps into some things that people, you just said, veterinarians are very much on the cutting edge of medicine. And your book, Medicine Dog, is about your dog, Sam, but it's also about you and about the growing value of stem cell research. So I love the full title, folks. It's called Medicine Dog, The Miraculous Cure That Healed My Best Friend and Saved My Life. So take it away, Julia Szabo. This is your time.
Well, thank you, Arden Moore. Well, that was a wonderful lead-in. Thank you. So, yes, I was inspired to write this book because in 2007, my dog, Sam, who was a big, giant black pit bull who I adopted at my local animal shelter in the city, Animal Care and Control, and he was in his last few hours. He didn't know it. And he came home and he changed my life. And as the years went on, he developed arthritis, as we all do, right? Human or canine. And he got to the point where he was 14 and he couldn't lift his leg to pee because the arthritis was that bad. And, for a male dog, that's kind of really emasculating and humiliating to have to stand there on all fours and, urinate like that. So, but more than that, one day he literally wiped out on the street. And, a lot of people would say, oh, well, 14 is a nice, good, long age. Why don't you just, put him down? And I don't think that way. So I jumped on the internet and I started looking for ways to help him survive and thrive. And thankfully, I came across a terrific outfit right there in San Diego called Vet-STEM, which specializes in stem cell regeneration therapy for horses and dogs. And basically, I arranged for Sam to have his own, and again, this is his own stem cells. So this is not the controversial embryonic cells. We all have stem cells in our body fat. We also have it in our bone marrow. And if we give birth to a child, we have it in our umbilical cord blood. Those are called cord blood cells. So basically, I arranged for Sam to have a liposuction, except this was not the kind of tummy tuck you get for your figure. It was to get a little. It was just to get a little bit of fat out of him, and then that fat was FedExed on ice to San Diego, where it was processed for his own adult. They're called adult stem cells, or autologous, which means that the donor and the recipient are the same creature or person. So then the cells the very next day were FedExed right back here to New York and injected intravenously and into the joint. And I kid you not, after a few hours, like literally 3 hours after he emerged from anesthesia, because doggies have to go under for all this because otherwise it's pretty uncomfortable, he lifted his leg to pee for the first time in 2 years. Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty powerful.
Pretty astounding,
I know the Vet STEM place I've written for Prevention Magazine, the pet column, and that is pretty amazing. Now, you also, though, tapped into this.
First of all, I love what you write for prevention. I've been following you for a while. And so this was astonishing because it didn't occur to me that stem cells could be used for anything other than orthopedic problems, right? And I didn't have orthopedic problems. But then, wouldn't you know, one of the veterinarians from VetStem, her name is Julie Ryan Johnson, she was in town in New York and she wanted to meet. We had lunch. And we had a grand old time, as we girls like to do, right? Chatting and this and that. And she said, why don't you look into stem cells for your condition? And I had an inflammatory bowel disease. It was a perirectal fistula, and it had caused me a lot of discomfort and pain over the years. But again, I never thought of this because it wasn't arthritis, right? It wasn't an orthopedic thing. And she said, oh, absolutely, stem cells are being used for everything. Why don't you go online and start Googling it? Well, I did. And later that day, I found that sure enough, in Madrid, Spain, they were doing a clinical trial for exactly my condition with adult stem cells from your own body fat. So it was basically the same thing that the dog had gotten, but for a different condition. So this set me on a 4-year quest because I really wanted to be treated closer to home, either in the United States or, just slightly offshore. I didn't want to have to schlep, right, all the way to Europe. And so 4 years later, I was very, very lucky to find the California Stem Cell Treatment Center in Rancho Mirage. Right. And they treated me in January of 2013, and I'm healed now.
Oh, congratulations. Well, I want everybody to check out the book. The book is called Medicine Dog. It's the latest by Julia Szabo, and she's just telling you guys from her dog Sam and from her what happened and how it has changed. And I really appreciate and applaud you for how you clearly defined that basically it's being withdrawn from the dog or the person's own bone marrow or fat cells. I know this is simplistic, but they kind of do a spin cycle in the lab and they inject it back in.
That's very well said.
Yeah. And there you go. And so you can do spin cycle because I'm going to use your dog send. It's a dog send. That's great.
Go ahead.
I will always give you credit. So, I'm a journalist that's like, this person taught me this and that. It's like with Jackson Galaxy. He said, cats think about this all day. Hunt, catch, kill, eat, groom, sleep. Hunt, catch, kill, eat, groom, sleep. So I just got the dog send from you. So that's great. We're speaking with Julia Szabo. We have to pay for the show, folks. So everybody sit and stay. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Time for a pause. 4 furry ones actually sit and stay. Oh, behave. We'll be right back.
It's designerpetsweaters.com. Hand-knitted designer sweaters for your precious pup or cool cat. Beautiful couture patterns for your pets, including custom-knitted formal wear, casual wear, yachting, and even sports-themed. Many designer pet sweaters include feathered tammy hats, top hats, and a lot of sparkle. Each sweater includes leg loops, front paw sleeves, and leash opening. Visit designerpetsweaters.com to order your 4-legged fashions today. Your pets will stay warm for the winter and be runway ready. Large or small, we fit them all. designerpetsweaters.com.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Hey everybody, I'm Rachel Ray. You're listening to Oh Behave with Arden Moore on Pet Life Radio.
We're back from the lot. Just checked the paper and we had a record showing at the box. The letterbox, that is. Now back to Oh Behave. Here's Arden.
Welcome back to the Oh Behave Show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. I have no reason, no excuses why I have never met this fantastic pet personality, the person who champions dogs, cats, and other critters. I'm talking about Julia Szabo. I have been a fan of yours for many years, and for me to say a fan, that's good because I'm an ex-journalist where we were taught if your mother says she loves you, we say check it out. And I've checked out Julia, and she checks out. So what do you think, girl?
You're an angel. Thank you, Arden, and right back at you. I'm your number one fan, too. And not in the misery sense, in the good sense.
Yeah. Thank you. So we're on the air because the summer's coming. Let's talk a little recap about some ways to help our dog against the fleas and ticks. But let's talk a little bit about how we can be better pet parents for them. And sometimes going to the vet a little bit more often for like a wellness visit could also take less of a bite out of your wallet, correct?
Absolutely. And, there are a couple other things that we can do. For instance, I know that we're all so busy, but something so basic as hydration, okay? Let's just remember that whether we're filling that dog water bowl with bottled water from Italy or filtered water from the Brita or tap water, whichever it's going to be, let's just remember to just keep it clean and fresh, wash the bowl, and you know what else? Let's stay away from plastic, especially in the summer months, because that plastic heats up, does it not? And then it releases some kind of horrible flavor into the water, and some of our pets, whether they're small or large, are very finicky, and then they might just stop drinking. And before we notice it, they're dehydrated, they develop all sorts of health issues. So let's just switch out that plastic bowl if we still have one for a stainless steel or a ceramic or, even a glass Pyrex bowl, whatever works.
Oh, good
non-porous,
point. Like
non-porous.
Right, non-porous is the key, right. And also those little dogs, the pups that like to chew, they're biting into the plastic. They're not drinking, they're biting into it, and they can have some issues there too. Exactly,
and then there's the BPA issue and all that. So there's that. And then, grooming is like such a big deal in summer. I mean, it's everything to some dogs, because I can tell you that my chow mix, Aldo, wow, what a coat. And we spent quite a good deal of time this morning prior to this interview with me and that Furminator and me battling his coat. And I hope I still have a friend over there, but I think he's rather resentful of me, but you know what? It was a good bonding experience, and guess what? He's going to be so much cooler. And so that's really, so many people say, just shave down the dog for summer, but that's not a good idea, because they can get sunburn just like we can. And
they can get sun-induced cancer too, right? So,
exactly,
I mean, it's not only the sunburn, but it's sun-induced cancer too. So it is a danger.
Exactly. So you really don't want to do that, because the hair coat provides protection for that vulnerable skin. So just thin out the coat, right, with the good old Furminator or similar type of de-shedding tool, and just be good about that and cut down on mats, and you'll have a much more ventilated doggy and a happier one for summer.
Well, if Aldo's a Chow Chow, Julia, is his nickname Sir Shed-A-Lot?
I like that. It is now.
I'm laughing because I wish my dog was a male, but Chipper is a husky golden retriever. So,
how beautiful.
And
does he have blue eyes?
No, unfortunately, no. Only when I put contacts on her. No, I'm just kidding. She's got those beautiful brown eyes. She's a rescue, 3-time shelter reject, and now she teaches pet first aid with my cat and I. And her name is Chipper because she has the grin, and also I'm a lousy golfer, except when I'm chipping onto the green. I totally relax. I'm like, Chipper!
Oh, that's great.
But I do the same thing, the Furminator, and it is amazing. I'm like, where is this all coming from? We could literally probably make about 4 quilts out of the hair from Aldo and Chipper, I bet, just in one grooming session.
Well, I was thinking about that. Let's go into business making dog beds, because, why use that foamy stuff from China when we can use our own fur, right?
And it would smell more like them, and they'd like it.
Yeah, well, and definitely everybody Furminate outdoors, because the little, wisps that wander off in the wind, that's a lot of W's, are really wonderful for birds, because the birds use it to feather their nests, literally, so they can have upholstered nests. So everybody wins if we do it outdoors.
And also because you don't want I can just picture your house. If you all 4 of your dogs, do your pitties shed much? Probably not as much as your
practically not at all, because I use really moisturizing shampoo on them, and so no, they don't. But those hairy dogs, and forget it. The Shepherd is the biggest perpetrator of shedding. No matter what I do, Furminate, shampoo, it doesn't matter. And then if she gets excited, she sheds 3 times as much, and she gets excited a lot.
So Desiree and Aldo are your hairy beauties, and then Cupcake and Magnus, they just want to keep their skin nice and moisturized.
Yes, it's the fuzzies versus the sleek modern dogs. So I have sort of traditional dogs, and I have contemporary, I'm sort of, talk about pet parenting styles. It's like designer dog styles,
Yeah. Now, let's talk a little bit about why we should get to the vet and the healthy wellness visit and how to talk to them about flea and tick prevention, because we need some help and the vets have to write the prescription.
Well, definitely talk to the vet because, first of all, like we said, the Bravecto product is only available by prescription, and you want to be sure that it's the right one for your dog, right? Because there are other options as well, also from the same maker as Bravecto, Merck Animal Health. So, you just want to be sure that you have it exactly right, that it's the right one for your dog. And also, your vet's going to notice things that you might not notice. And there might be a little rash on your dog's paw that you didn't see. So the vet really has these eagle eyes, and he or she is just, you're actually going to save money in the long run by going now for the summer.
Okay. Well, one day I want to teach you pet first aid. I am a master instructor in pet first aid, and having Chipper and Zeke, and if I can't fly, I don't fly Chipper. I pair up my cat with a service or a therapy dog in whatever area. Her last trip was to Dallas, where Zeke teamed up with Rosie Greer, a pit bull. And my cat wrangles dogs quite well. She has that 9-pound ability to say, "Really, you're going to take me on? Really?" And so she wrangles them very nicely. And I would be honored someday if we ever get our schedules in sync, because I teach a vet-approved class that's from Cornell University, so it's not Arden Moore making up things. So when you're bored, Julia,
I would love that.
Go to 4-Legged Life, my site, when you're bored. It'll hop-skitch you to Pet First Aid for you. But I really think it would be great if I could do something and sometimes we do things to benefit shelters and things like that. So we'll figure it out. We'll get our calendars in sync, even if it's early 2015. But I would love to.
It's the least we can do when our dogs are saving our lives all the time, right? Right?
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, and Arden, I forgot to mention another thing your listeners can do is visit mypet.com, mypet.com, and there's lots of summer safety tips there. So even if you don't make it to the vet this week, check out that site because it's a good read.
Okay, so I want to make sure we've got you guys got your pens and papers, or write it down on your smartphones. We want to go to mypet.com. We also want to go to pet-reporter.com and check with your vet about the Bravecto, the new flea and tick preventative that lasts 12 weeks, and it knocks out some of the nastiest ticks, even the Lone Star tick. And think about it, guys, 12 weeks and it's a chewable. We can't get it any simpler for us two-leggers.
Because, we're not as smart as our dogs, really.
No, we're not.
I'm not as smart as my dogs. I wish I were.
I want to end with a couple of Julia trivia, okay? So help us out here. You parlez-vous français, eh?
Exactement. I do.
Oh, exactement. And you got one of the coolest names for an award I've ever seen. In 2005, folks, Julia Szabo won not an Oscar, not an Emmy, not a Pulitzer Prize, not a Nobel Peace Prize, but the Frisbee of Hope Award from Puppy Mill Awareness.
There you go. That's all that counts,
That's a good one. And you went to Vassar. I went to Purdue, so you got me there.
Oh, well.
What was your major at Vassar?
It was English, but it was almost French, but that would have been strange to go to an American college and major in French, so I switched over to English.
So how much French do you speak in New York?
I don't have nearly enough opportunity. I should have studied Spanish, but
I know
it goes like that.
All I know to say is ven, siéntate, abajo. That's about it.
There you go.
So I can say my dog's trilingual. Yeah.
Por favor.
Por favor, bonita perro. So when my big dog's walking,
muy rico.
Yeah. So it's a nice dog. It's a nice dog. And lastly, let's do a shout out for pits because I have a name for them. I call them meaty cheeks because when they smile, they got the best grin on town. So you want to do a little shout out because you have 2 rescues.
Yes, please. Everybody go to your local animal shelter where the odds are that it's probably 97% pit bulls, and just please give a dog a home. Pit bulls are the best ever dogs. They're wonderful with children. Do not believe what you still sometimes hear in the media about pit bulls eating children and their faces off and this kind of thing. It doesn't happen. They're amazing, trustworthy, and frankly, delightful dogs. They're like little clowns. And yes, meaty cheeks is exactly accurate.
All right. Well, folks, we've been very, very fortunate and doggone lucky to have Julia Szabo on our show today as our special guest. Again, please check out mypet.com. I want you to go to pet-reporter.com. And if you're wanting ideas on how to have fun in the function of fashion for your interior design for you and your pet, because face it, confess, folks, you now buy your house or you rent with your dog in mind. And I know you do that too, because you just did this with your move, Julia. But go to animalhousestyle.com as well, and then ask your vet about Bravecto. Did I miss anything, Julia?
No, you're perfect. You're wonderful, and I love you.
I love you too. Right back at you. I also want at this time to thank my awesome producer, Mark Winter. He makes this show and all the shows on Pet Life Radio happen each and every week. So, folks, be careful with your pet this summer, but be careful with them 24/7, whether you're a minimalist or, what did you call it, the minimalist or the spoiler?
Spoiler, yep.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, or you fall in somewhere.
Spoiler alert.
It doesn't matter. Just be good to your pet because they're good to us all the time. So until next time, this is your flea-free host, Arden Moore, delivering 2 words to all you 2, 3, and 4-leggers out there. Oh, behave.
Coast to coast and around the world, it's Oh Behave with Arden Moore. Find out why cats and dogs do the things they do, and get the latest buzz from wagging tongues and tails in Rin Tin Tinseltown. From famous pet experts and best-selling authors to television and movie stars, you'll get great tail-wagging pet tips and have a fur-flying fun time. All Behave with America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore. Every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.